All right. Welcome back to Lockdown Sports. This is NBA Casuals, where we believe in diversity. All right. My white friend, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Matt, Clippers fan. Height, weight, BMI, please.
My height, I am a measly 5'11". My weight,
Can't say measly 5'11" next to me, man.
well, I mean, you know, over here at Fifth and Dribble, we've got some 6'7" giants.
Yeah.
So 5'11" is nothing.
Yeah.
I am a hefty 95 kilos, and my BMI. Look, BMI sucks. So like it's a false stat. It's heavy apparently. Heavy.
We're going to get into some false stats today with the Boston Celtics. This is how you try and stop the Boston Celtics. It's up to the 76ers. It's up to the Milwaukee Bucks with Doc Rivers, I guess. Make sure you subscribe, stay tuned, and stay locked in. Before we get into how we're going to stop the Boston Celtics, Matt, where are the Boston Celtics, actually going to finish the season? Are you expecting an NBA Finals run deep into April?
Yeah, I think that at the absolute minimum, like it'll be the conference finals, right? Yeah. Like all the stats lead to that. They're top 10 in transition. They're sixth best in clutch time. They've got a team of shooters. They're like 39% from 20 to 29 feet at 42 attempts a game. They're obviously skilled and equipped, but we know with the Boston Celtics, like they could just fall apart at any given second.
There's no tempo control with this team,
right?
If you watch them, they might as well not have the shot clock up.
No.
Behind the backboard. There's no need for it. There's no need for it. They embrace the chaos of a game.
Yeah.
And when you've got this much talent, right, you can do it. But we know in the playoffs, when you're versing the same team 4, 5, 6, 7 times, you're going to get exposed if you don't slow your shit down. Let's get into it. 76ers... Milwaukee Bucks. We got to find a way to stop them. Me and Matt are going to pick teams. We don't do coins anymore. We're all digital with our cash these days. Let's flip a digital coin.
Okay, here we go.
What have I got?
Heads for the Bucks.
Yeah.
And like tails for the Sixers, because that's just kind of where my head's at with the 76ers. And we will go. So for you first.
Yeah. Heads.
Tails.
Oh, tails. All right. So
You've got the Sixers, and I've got the
76ers. All right. So how are we going to stop Jason Tatum? That's where we're going to start this. We'll move on to offense a bit later, but this is where we lock in, guys. All right. Joel Embiid is not a switchable defender. Might as well have Paul Reed. Might as well have Mo Bamba out there for one of it.
Days. The man said Mo Bamba this early in the show. He said Mo Bamba. Oh my goodness.
Nah, but let's be real. You can't switch with Embiid, so that's going to be a bit of a struggle. But I will say, Boston's success is in transition, all right? You look at where they're scoring their points in the regular season, it's all about transition. It's all about getting stops with 5, 6 capable defenders against Joel Embiid. I'm not sure you're going to have as much transition frequency, I guess, And that's where I think it's going to slow down for them, When you are going to post up with Porzingis, one of the best post-up teams, We've got Embiid. We're not worried about these post-up situations.
Yeah. Well, I think I lucked out getting the Bucks because Giannis Antetokounmpo is like one of the most freaks of nature we've ever seen on the defensive end.
Yeah.
All you got to do is have him there to lock down. I mean, if you run him at center and run Brook Lopez at the 4 and just kind of funnel. You could funnel him into Lopez. Lopez is a great shot blocker as well.
I'm worried about Brook Lopez though.
Really?
I'm worried about him.
Damn.
I'm worried about him because you don't even need to do a pick and roll. Just do the first word out of a pick and roll and you'll get a free shot. I saw it last year. You tune into any game. It feels like a summer league environment.
His lateral movement is not fantastic.
There's no lateral movement, and the drop defense, I'm just not a fan of it. It's 2024, guys.
See, the thing that really excited me about Nick Nurse potentially going there is you could have done like the reverse box and one, and the one of Brook Lopez is just sitting in the paint.
Yeah,
and like you could have funneled it really easily, and like he is a good shot blocker, but he doesn't move his feet very well. But I think for me, again, I'm going to cop out a little bit. Yeah. How do you stop Jason Tatum? Maybe you just don't. Maybe you stop the Boston Celtics elsewhere. Like Tatum's done a really good job this year, I think, of taking the first quarter off and letting everybody eat, a bit like playoff LeBron has the last 25, 30, 40, however many years LeBron's been in the league.
Yeah.
And he just lets the team eat in the first quarter, and then he comes out and does his thing. Now, the only thing that really screws with the Boston Celtics after that is that if nobody can get their shot and he's forced to shoot in the first quarter,
that's when it gets rough.
Exactly. Then he doesn't have the legs in the fourth, and you're kind of screwed. So I think that that's maybe something that you need to rely on. That's fine. Idolize Kobe. Let him have 81. That's okay. But you just need to stop the rest of the team from having 40. And Jaylen Brown gets in his own head. Derek White has only just, in the last 12 months, learned how to make a jump shot, it seems. Like, he's always been a great defender.
60%.
Yeah.
He shoots 50, 60% on threes in the playoffs. Do you know how crazy that was?
Yeah,
the whole Miami run?
Yeah, it was tough to watch. I'm one of the biggest Boston haters, I think, in Western Sydney. So you know, it's been tough to see their success, but it is what it is. I just reckon you just let him get gassed.
Yeah.
Let him do his thing, get out there, get gassed. He's still only in his mid-20s, so he's scarily enough for the rest of us watching the league. He's got 3 years before he hits his prime.
Yeah.
So just let him get gassed, let him do the thing. They've obviously worked something out in getting rid of Marcus Smart. They've got like one less shooter out there. He thought he was a J the entire time, but it was only 2 Js, not 3 Js. Yeah. Jaylen Brown gets in his own head. Derek White's only just learned how to shoot. Kristaps Porzingis, I don't think is like the most reliable player, obviously.
That's what I'm saying. In the playoffs, we talk about deep runs. You run such a short roster, right?
Yeah.
One of these injuries, and I'm not taking the Boston Celtics to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
If you take Horford or Porzingis out, that's so much burden in the front court on the other guy.
I would not be putting any money on 45-year-old Al Horford.
Yeah.
There is no way whatsoever. Like, that man, he hurt his finger earlier in today's game by doing a dunk. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
it's pension time.
It is 100% pension time. And I think I talk about, you know, Doc Rivers being like unreliable, and obviously Doc Rivers, like he's got the most, you know, 7-game series chokes in ever. And again, that's me having PTSD as a Clippers fan. But the only thing he has to worry about is defense.
Yeah.
Because you've got Damian Lillard. You've got Giannis Antetokounmpo. You've got a 40% three-point shooter in Chris Middleton. You've got Malik Beasley, who's also a 45% three-point shooter.
Can shoot it. Apart from the Greek brothers, everyone on this team
everybody can shoot it.
Can shoot it.
Exactly. So it's just like, you only have to worry about defense if you're Doc. And even then, that's half a job, because you have like a legitimate freak of nature in the alphabet. Like, what are we doing right now?
Before we get on to the other side of the game, I guess, I would just want one last thing about Jason Tatum. I think the 76ers should run a good marketing scheme, all right? Jason Tatum, he's an ordinary man. He accepts cookies on his phone the same way we all do.
Same way.
He's going to be on Instagram. He's going to watch those reels. Feed his timeline with motivational Kobe reels, and he's going to shoot you out of a game, all right?
Wow.
If we make him too confident, I think we can see it. We can see it. Like,
I think you and I need to get in the lab, get on Photoshop, start putting them together. Yeah. You know, put a lot of, you know, Jason Tatum in Kobe jerseys.
I think that's how we stop it.
I think you're onto something. Yeah. I definitely think you're onto something.
And on Milwaukee's side, I guess just hold Dame's hand, hold Malik's hand in terms of defending.
Yeah. I mean, the New York Knicks hid Carmelo Anthony for however long. So, I mean, I think that the Milwaukee Bucks can hide a couple of small point guards out of that as well.
I hate the defense on that team, and I don't think Doc Rivers is going to fix it. But what they do have, and let's get into it, is the offense. The
offense is unbelievable.
Last game, Milwaukee versus Boston, shot the lights out. 50-point lead at half fucking time.
Yep.
That's insane. And I'm sure that's going to be the basis of your
100%. It's the basis of my argument. I think that you need to do exactly what they did in terms of run that high pick and roll nice and early. And like the best thing about Damian Lillard when he first came onto the map is that he knew how to pass. Like, we know the shooting, we know the range, we know all of that stuff. But when he comes to Portland, people forget how fucking good LaMarcus Aldridge was. And like, I'm not at all saying that Giannis has the mid-range game that LaMarcus Aldridge does, okay? But if you run that high pick and roll and you start to play an outside in game, like I said, you've got Jay Crowder, 35% shooter. Chris Middleton, 38% shooter. Malik Beasley, 44%. Brook Lopez, the man that you are worried about, 35%. Pat Connaughton, who? Like 39% shooter. All of these guys are 35+% shooters from downtown. And I haven't even said the name Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
Like, it's unbelievable how much shooting talent that they have surrounded Giannis with. And I mean, that's what they had to do with Shaq back in the day. That's what they did with like Hakeem, like Kenny the Jet Smith, was a household name for a little while just because of his ability to shoot. The man has 2 championships because of it, you know? So it's just, that's exactly where you need to go. However, all that being said, I've said my bit about Doc Rivers. I
love the theory of what you're saying, but the application with Doc Rivers in the building every day,
it's a stress.
You know? It's a stress. It's a stress. You can't get to work with this guy. No. All he's done is implement a high pick and roll, which for some reason Adrian Griffith just decided wasn't the go. Just, you know,
if it ain't
don't run a Dame Giannis pick and roll.
Like what? He's literally one of the best point guards we've seen in a high pick and roll situation. Giannis is one of the most dominant people we've ever seen in the game. He's like, I know Kareem didn't spend his entire career there, but like Giannis is, and like Sidney Moncrief only played for X amount of time, but Giannis just...
We've got a younger audience.
Sorry.
Stop naming these
I apologize. The knowledge is right there. Casual. But Giannis is obviously like the most winningest buck of all time.
Yeah.
Why are we not looking at that in a vacuum and being like, okay, so this guy actually knows how to win? Like he's there. He's been a part of it. Like the first 2 years, yeah, sure, he was just this gangly kid from Greece. But now he's got a legitimate point guard, the best one that he's ever had. No disrespect to Drew Holiday, but the best offensive point guard he's ever had, and one of the best that the game has ever seen. Put the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
No, what are we doing?
I get what you're saying, but like you said, Doc Rivers will find a way. He'll find a way. But on my side, right, I don't know why I have to rep the 76ers. I hate them just as much as everyone else, all right? No one likes foul baiting offense. No one likes that. Hopefully Joel's fit enough so we can see that foul baiting in the playoffs. But it's been rough for them against the Celtics this year. 4 times they've played. Obviously, you've got Embiid sitting out every now and then, but they only got the win in the first game all the way back in last year. Rough game, rough shooting nights all around. I think we need spiritual healing. We might need a relocation of the franchise if we're going to take on the Celtics.
Send him to San Francisco. It worked last time.
Look, if we have to beat Boston, you're talking about overcoming the trauma of all the past times.
Yes.
All right? All the past times.
Yeah.
Including the bubble when Ben Simmons had to carry this thing.
Let's not utter that name right now. We don't need to go down the Ben Simmons route. That's a whole nother podcast in itself.
Anyways.
I think that Tyrese Maxey is like, to defend the 76ers, he's not the player that he was at the beginning of the year. I think that like he's grown as a player. When he's out there on the court, he's like an obvious spark plug. He, to me, is just like a really athletic Lou Williams. And I would like to see the ball in his hands more. But when you've got an MVP caliber player in Joel Embiid, when he's out there, it makes sense to do.
And now they've added Thickus himself, Kyle Lowry.
Yes. Love Thickus. That's my Bunda brother. I'm about Thickus. I'm about him. And that's another like seasoned point guard that you can put
You're
Maxey
taking
in
the ball out
there.
of Maxey's hands. I think he'll be playing the 2 if Lowry's fit enough for the playoffs.
100%.
I think you'll see that.
Yeah, and I mean, he obviously like brought a seriousness of leadership in that Raptors team with Nick Nurse. Now he's back with Nick Nurse. You could say the same thing with Pat Beverly and the Los Angeles Clippers being back with Doc Rivers. I think that there is definitely a roadmap to scoring against the Celtics, to stopping the Celtics.
This is the best defense I've seen in terms of a roster.
Yeah.
The Celtics, it's good. And what makes it worse for me is people like Dame Lillard, all these guys around the league. Drew Holiday went from underrated to overrated overnight.
Yeah.
Can you imagine someone is playing well against you and then you do your podcast and everything and then you're like, oh, he's a great defender. He always gets the better of me. Is that going to help or hurt his confidence?
Oh, help for sure.
Exactly, right? So why are you so honest in these? I love that players do media, but just lie a little. I'm okay with it. If you go into every press conference and say, no one can guard me, like Spencer Dinwiddie says about the one-on-one.
Mr. Bitcoin, I tell you what. I think it plays into 100%, me too. I think it plays more into the player empowerment side of things and you know, boys being boys and wanting to talk themselves up. But I mean, they all understand Drew Holiday's a dog. Yeah. And he didn't get his flowers for 10 years. And then he won that championship. And as you said, he went from underrated to overrated overnight. And you know, it's unfortunate to see. But, you know, now the spotlight's on him. And, you know, respectfully, fuck Boston.
Yeah. Anyways, there you have it. Those 2 words, F Boston, all day, every week. Let us know how we did at stopping the Boston Celtics. Next week, don't worry, no more diversity. Jono will be back. We'll be previewing how to stop the Denver Nuggets because no one's figured that out. If you don't think we're NBA coaches, that's fine, but neither should Doc Rivers. Stay tuned, stay locked in for more NBA casuals. Ciao.